Hey guys, I'm Dave Cariello from Canal Chronicles, and this is a special edition of our Saints Mailbag. What up with that? Coming at you from Cancun, Mexico. Alright, we're kicking things off with a question about the defensive line. D. Carmen wants to know, which trio do I think will be starting on the defensive line once the regular season hits? I think that's a tough question to answer, just because Rob Ryan's defense is so interchangeable, so malleable. I think it'll be kind of like the Saints wide receivers, where it's really tough to pinpoint the starters. But I definitely think at defensive tackle you'll probably see Roderick Bunkley at least at the beginning of the season until draft pick John Jenkins maybe gets a little experience. At one defensive end spot, I definitely think you'll see Cameron Jordan. I'd say that's probably a lock. At the other defensive end spot, that could be anything. It could be Tom Johnson, Kenyon Coleman, or it could be Akeem Hicks, who I believe is going to start sliding out there. So it's really tough to say. I think it's a little too early. I think we'll know more once we get into training camp. But I would say some combination of those guys that I just named will definitely be in the mix for sure. Our next question is about the NFC South, our division rivals, and comes from Ben D, who wants to know which teams do I think got better this offseason and which teams do I think didn't do so well. I would say the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, probably of all four teams in the NFC South, probably made the most strides and improvement. They added a lot of help to their defense, to their secondary. I think that could cause some trouble for Drew Brees next season. I certainly think the Saints, of course, with the addition of Rob Ryan and the new defensive scheme change, I think the Saints, I hate to be a homer, but I think that you'll see a lot of improvement there. I would say which teams didn't do so well. I would say the Atlanta Falcons, just because they did so well last season. There wasn't really that much room for improvement, so it's hard to improve when you're already doing pretty well. So that would be my answer to that question for sure. All right, our fellow contributor Wallace, he wants to know whether I foresee the Saints playing any exhibition games at Benson Field at Yeoman Stadium, which will be Tulane's new on-campus football stadium. He wants to know whether I foresee the Saints playing any exhibition games there in the preseason. I would say probably not, despite the fact that the crowds are not very big at the preseason games for the Saints. I still don't know whether Yeoman Stadium will be big enough to accommodate that. Yeoman Stadium will be 30,000 seat capacity. Would be nice, would be great, would love it. Bring back memories of the good old days at Tulane Stadium. But at least for this year, that probably will not happen. I think probably the neighborhood, this is a topic I'm fairly familiar with, I think probably the neighborhood might have an issue with that. So I don't see that in the near future, but maybe in the years to come that would be wonderful. All right, now we've got a question from a gentleman named Spiffy, or a gentlewoman, not sure. He or she wants to know whether Colin Kaepernick can be stopped, and whether there's any hope for the other 31 NFL teams out there. Oh God, that's a good question. Seriously though, I think Colin Kaepernick will fall to earth this season, and I won't say he's going to be a one-hit wonder, but I don't think he's as great as everybody thinks. All right, our fellow contributor Ryan Edwards wants to know which team do I see underachieving in 2013 versus the preseason hype. Honestly, I'm going to stay within the division on this one and go with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't think that their road to the playoffs is going to be as easy as it was last year. I say that because I think the New Orleans Saints are going to give them a run for their money this year and hopefully win the division. I know that they're favored. I know that they've got a good team. I know they did well last year. I know that they're ranked pretty highly. But, I think this is the year maybe they'll fall back down to earth a little bit. They've never really seemed to be too consistent year to year. So definitely with the resurgence of the Saints combined with the typical Atlanta Falcons fashion, I think the Falcons probably won't do as well as most media pundits are saying. All right, our final question comes from Robert S. He actually has two questions that I'm going to answer. His first is, who do I think will have the most receiving touchdowns for the Saints this year? That's a toss-up. It's probably going to be between Marcus Colston or Jimmy Graham. Last year it was Colston by a nose. I'll go with Jimmy Graham this year. Hopefully he sees a little bit of a resurgence and picks it up after a somewhat disappointing last season. I say somewhat, I would put that in quotes because he really didn't have a terrible season, but just compared to 2011, it was a little bit of a down year. And Robert's second question is about the left tackle position. He wants to know whether the Saints will be changing people out throughout the season. I personally hope not, and I think the Saints probably feel the same way. I think what you want in a left tackle is consistency. Who is that going to be? I have no idea. Probably either Charles Brown or Jason Smith. I can't tell you who that will be, but I can say that ideally I think the Saints are probably going to hope to have one person choose that one person and roll with him for the entire season. Let's hope that happens. All right, guys, that does it for me for another edition of our Saints Mailbag series, What Up With That? I'm Dave Cariello from Canal Chronicles. Appreciate all your questions. I'm going to go grab a pina colada and hit that beach right behind me. Thanks for watching.